Listen, y'all be making me feel old and out of the loop when I hear some of these theories, man. Burnt toast theories? I was like, what? Was somebody hungry and they came up with a theory or something? I don't know, but I gotta figure this one out, all right? But before we get to the craziness, y'all know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
Are you familiar with the burnt toast theory? People talked a lot about it after 9/11. Basically, the theory is, if you do something as simple as, say, burn your toast in the morning, it sets the whole timeline of the day off just by a few minutes. But doing something as simple as that can change your whole life. Like, say, for instance, that morning, 9/11, people who did, say, burn their toast, maybe that person missed their train into the city, thereby making them late for work. And maybe they weren't in the towers when those planes hit. Or maybe somebody else was caught in traffic and because they burned their toast or whatever, and they missed those flights. But the burnt toast theory basically says that small, little changes, little aggravations, little things like that can change the timeline and change cataclysmically or otherwise can change the timeline of your day. And a little bit like the butterfly effect, how things can just...
That's what I'm saying here. I was thinking to myself, isn't that the butterfly effect? I used to love that movie too. I haven't watched that movie in so long. I think that was with Ashton Kutcher or something like that? But either way, yeah, that's what I thought they were speaking of. The same thing, just different names.
Just change and make your life different for whatever reason. So yesterday was a day for me. And I choose to take it as the burnt toast theory. So typically it takes me 45 minutes to get to work. And it took me almost an hour and 15 minutes for no reason. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny fall day. And I had my coffee, I was driving in, and dead standstill traffic. And rather than get aggravated and get annoyed, which is typically the reaction that we all get in traffic for no reason, I just thought, okay, burnt toast. There's a reason why the universe, God, whatever, they don't want me to be there right at 8 a.m. when I needed to be for this meeting. And I thought, okay, it's a bigger reason. I'm just going to take it for what it is. And then from that point forward, my whole day was off a bit. One meeting ran over, one meeting ran into the next. I missed lunch. I wasn't able to get things done. I wanted to leave the office by 5. I was caught in a project. I looked down. Before I knew it was after 6. And I could have let everything aggravate me. I could have let everything upset me. But again, I look at it through that burnt toast theory of, for whatever reason, all of these little irritations, these changes, these little things that somehow kept me off this predetermined, prescribed timeline in my head, they kept me on a different timeline. And this all goes back to gratitude for me. This goes back to just being thankful that for whatever reason, the universe wanted me to be on a different timeline today and to do things in a different way. And I'm open to it, and I don't know what the reason was, why I needed to take so long to get to work today, why I needed to take a little bit of a different route, and why I needed to stay a little bit later at the office. But maybe I avoided an accident. Maybe I needed to see somebody in the office at a different time. Whatever it is, I welcome it. But I challenge everybody to, when you're having one of those bad days or something doesn't go your way or you're running late for whatever reason, just think of the burnt toast theory and be grateful that for whatever reason, the universe has your back.
The butterfly effect is one of the reasons why I love time travel, but I don't like time travel. And the part that I don't like about it is because I'm scared if I was to ever go back in time, I would alter something or change something that would mess up the future or mess up when I got back everything as I would know it would be different. I could be lonely, all my family would be gone, or people I know would be gone, or something like that. I could do something to alter that or change that by going back in time. So that's one reason why I'm never really I like the idea of time travel. I think it's fascinating and cool, but at the same time, if I was ever given the opportunity, I don't think I would take it.
If you ever want to know why I voted for Donald Trump, take a look at Western North Carolina. In 4 months, our past administration couldn't do anything for these people for the hurricane that hit them on September 24th of 2024 this year. These people lost their homes. They lost their cars, their stores. There was no Walmarts to go and replace things. There was no Lowe's to go and get tools at. They lost their family. They lost everything in this flood. It took everything from them. It wiped out entire towns. And our past administration had the nerve to cut them a $750 check and wipe their hands, walked away. These people went in the freezing cold, sleeping on the grounds in tents with their babies. Some of them had newborn babies sleeping on the ground in tents with snow on the ground. Can you imagine? And in 2 days, President Trump has these people being transferred to fully furnished apartments. In 2 days. Our borders are being closed.
My car's gone.
I'm okay. It's okay.
The everything's gone. It's all gone.
It's okay. It's okay.
Are your parents okay?
Yo, that's a car on the roof. Look, that's somebody's. That might have been the car. He's talking about my car is gone, bro. Are you seeing this? Sheesh.
They're okay.
Was anybody in the gym?
It's okay. It's okay.
Hey, you're okay.
Bro, I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen anything like that before. I've heard of mudslides, you hear about them and everything, but for somebody to capture that happening right in front of them, almost taking them with it, but right in front of them, seeing that up close like that, bro, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And to think that the people of Western North Carolina had to deal with this, fam. Like, even when they get through they're gonna need somebody to talk to and sit down and some type of just counseling to get through the mental process of what they just went through and are currently dealing with. Prayers to them, bro. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
The notion that non-human intelligence is visiting and actively interacting with our species and our planet, I don't think that's the main issue anymore. I don't think that's what the powers that be behind the scenes are necessarily so concerned about people learning about. It's the potentialities that come with that. It's the why are they here? It's the what are they doing? The motivation for their activities. How long have they been doing it? Where is that going? I think that's potentially what they're afraid of people learning. And rightfully so, if some of this data is correct. I'll get into more of that later on. But the more time goes on and the more that I look at, and I've been doing this for a very, very long time, there are some potentialities that come up quite a lot in the data as far as what these others are actually up to and what their short-term and long-term goals may be. And there have been recent events that feed into those ideas as well. So it's impossible to ignore. This isn't all love and light. And I'm not trying to sound all doom and gloom here, but there are parts of this story that are quite uncomfortable to broach. There's just no question about that. It's unavoidable, though. Facts don't care about our feelings. So there are aspects of the phenomenon that we are going to have to address because they persistently appear in the data, whether we like that or not. The notion that non-human intelligence is visiting and actively interacting with our species and our planet, I don't think that's the main issue anymore. I don't think that's what the powers that be behind the scenes are necessarily so concerned about people learning about. It's the potentialities that come with that. It's the why are they here? It's the what are they doing? The motivation for their activities. How long have they been doing it? Where is that going? I think that's potentially what they're afraid of people learning. And rightfully so, if some of this data is correct. I'll get into more of that later on.
If someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And I think it'd be wise for you all to start looking at some financial disclosures of some of those corporations, some of the people who do the stonewalling in this town. And that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start talking to people. We're going to start naming names. I want you to think about this. Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
Now that type of activity has to mean something different. I haven't seen them that active. We've seen them moving around. We've seen them glowing. Sometimes they look like they're responding. But this type of activity seems like a little bit different. This is way more active than I've seen them.
I'm on I-69 in Lapeer, Michigan, and there is this thing in the sky.
Now that looked like one of Elon's satellites right there. That's what that looked like. Maybe possibly some Starlink stuff, or I don't know, something to do with Elon possibly though. I mean, at this point, everybody blaming Elon for everything anyway. Might as well add this to his jacket.
What is that? What in the world is that? Now it's going away. What was that?
Hey everyone, out exploring, came across something strange. Want to get your take on this vault of sorts that is clearly locked up, fortified, and then this one. But I hope you're seeing what's above that door. You got, well, it's not letting me zoom in. There it is. You've got a camera right up there. Let me try and get up there. But it goes right into that mountain. There is nothing behind it. And would love to know your thoughts on what do you think is in there? What is this? That is reinforced and locked. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. So odd. Hey everyone.
Definitely odd. Definitely odd. As soon as he walked up to it, I automatically assumed the worst. You might say that I do that a lot. I don't care. I assumed the worst of that, and then I knew that that was definitely possibly not abandoned. The fresh paint on the doors, it just looked like, yeah, like it hadn't been just abandoned for a long time and nobody cared about it. No. The fresh paint on the doors let me know that. And then when he showed the camera, it just confirmed my suspicion. That's all that was. I think he got a little too close for my liking, to be honest with you.
Yo guys, you're not going to believe this, but they say this map right here is the real map that the powers that be have been keeping from us. And they say it's 178 worlds on this map. Let's get a closer look at this. So they say that we are in the middle, and that's the ice wall. And these are the lands beyond the ice wall. Now let's look at some of the names of these lands. So here's some lands on one side of the ice wall. Atum, Atien, there's the name of the ocean up there at the top, Ocean of Nu. Now here's the east side of the ice wall. You have this ocean and these lands right here. And here are some more lands. As you see Isis, Osiris, and check this out guys, Human Colony. Now this map is from this book called The Lands of Mars, 178 Worlds Under the Great Dome. You can get this book on Amazon. So guys, please do your own research. Check this out because I know this sounds crazy. Go check out the book, do your research.
For all of my overthinkers, do you ever think that life was made to just be a game? Like if you think about it from the jump, we all have to find ways to get money to survive. We find ways to build credit, to achieve certain materialistic things. Social media is a game. Learning about the algorithm, doing certain things to boost your following. And then when you reach a certain goal, there's a reward system that makes you want to keep playing. I don't know, it sounds weird, but it makes a lot of sense because everything is a reward at the end. Everybody wants to be satisfied at the end. And then it never ends because you keep going afterwards. For all of my overthinkers,
I don't know. I thought that at one point in time in life, that life was a game, and at certain points you had to beat this stage to get to the next level, and maybe the challenges or you know how you get to the end of a level and you got to beat this person to get to the next level, and then the levels get harder. I used to think like that. You know, I'm at this stage, I got to beat everything that's required for me to get to the next level on this stage. That was my thought process, to try to move and progress forward. And the higher I went, the harder it was going to get. You know, the only thing about life is there were no extra men, or, you know what I'm saying? You can get extra life or something like that. I never really put that into any type of terms, but that I did think about it that way before.
Did you know they forgot a man was in space and he had to stay there for 10 months? Sergei Kirkorov. He was an astronaut for the Soviet Union, but then while he was in space, the dissolution of the Soviet Union happened. So the place who sent him to space just didn't exist. I think the place that sent him turned into Kazakhstan. I'm not saying that right. Someone was like, hey, go give this guy like a paper. They were gonna give him an official slip that basically relieves him from all his jobs because they're like, yo, the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, so you gotta apply somewhere else. And then someone else was like, isn't he still in space? And they were like, oh yeah, huh, that dude is in space. I forgot about that. They just forgot about him in space. So then they were like, how are we gonna get him down? The people who funded him, they don't exist anymore. Everyone was like, well, I'm not gonna pay for it. And someone else was like, I'm not paying for it. And then another person was like, sorry, no can do, not gonna pay for it. His mission was only supposed to be 5 months, but then Moscow sent like 3 unprepared, just not qualified people up to space. He's stuck up there because they keep sending people who aren't qualified. And he's like, you know how to land? And they're like, what's that? He was like, I cannot leave y'all with the space station. They're like, yeah, sorry. Space is fun. You're gonna have to stay here. Basically, Kirkolov is in a catch-22. He can either go home, finally, but then that would probably be the end of the space station. I think that's so funny that he was like, go to Russia during the 90s or get stranded in space. I can fly up here, so stay in here. But then Kirkolov was like, hey, if I stay up here too long, there's long-term effects. The long-term effects, if you stay too long in space, is risk of cancer, bone loss, cataracts, nasal congestion.
That was the first thing I thought when she said how long he was up there. 10 months? That means they really had to study your body and what changed about you when you got back to this planet. That's beyond belief right there. I definitely want to know what type of changes he experienced.
Congestion, infection, psychological issues, muscle atrophy, and immunity problems. So they were like, yeah, we know. Just hang in there, buddy. You got this. Also, because Kirkolov spent so much time away from the Earth's center of gravity, he actually is a time traveler. Because, you know, Einstein's relativity equation, if you're up in space, the time goes by faster. So Kirkolov is technically 0.2 seconds younger than everybody on Earth. 3 months after he was supposed to go home, Russia and Germany came together, and Russia was like, we should probably get that guy down from space. And Germany was like, yeah, we should. You want to go half on it? Russia was like, okay, I'm down. Germany and Russia, they come together and they send a experienced engineer, someone who Kirkolov doesn't have to chaperone or babysit. And they're like, hey, you get to come home. And he's like, this man spent 311 days in space. He almost spent a full year in space, which is like roughly over 10 months. 10 months in space. Y'all are out of your minds. When he finally landed, he had to have 4 men help him out, and they said he was as pale as flour. You're probably thinking to yourself, that was very traumatic. Did he ever go to space again? Yes, he went back to space. He has 803 total days in space. Dude, who are you? Did you know they forgot a man was...
Yo, that sounds like the movie Face Off, just different circumstances right there. That's what it sounds like. Remember with John Travolta, man, and what happened with them? Yeah. That's exactly, as soon as I heard that, that's where my mind automatically went to. That's the scary part about something. Like, can you imagine being forgot about like that? It makes me question it, though, because did he have enough food? How did he have enough food? Like, and all of that type of stuff. That's crazy, insane.
I'm not usually called to share these, but this time, this is different. When you tune into the energy of this, it is just like so much absolute love and excitement. They've always been here interdimensionally, but they're coming through. You're going to be able to witness them in the physical very soon. Basically, what's happening is we're meeting at a vibrational level that we'll be able to perceive them in this realm. And so they're adjusting their frequency as needed in order for them to come through to us in that way. In the meantime, we are raising our vibration and our consciousness and accepting more light and awakening our perception even further so that we are able to perceive them. This is so incredibly exciting. I'm not usually called to share these.
And I was listening to her, but the entire time she was speaking as well, I'm trying to look in the back because everybody kept saying that that's a lighthouse in the background. They're saying there's nothing mothership about it. It's a lighthouse, but I don't see it. So maybe somebody can show a picture of it or something that says that's a lighthouse and not a mothership in Pensacola, Florida.
It's not melting.
It can catch on fire, but it like
So
doesn't
tell me,
melt.
no. So tell me again that there's no such thing as chemtrails. This isn't real snow.
Yeah, so guys, I did the same thing. We took snow. We did exactly that, except we just had a lighter. I didn't have a torch. It wasn't dripping. It was doing exactly that. And we actually got part of it to light on fire. Pretty soon, the whole valley will be covered with this nonsense. I think it's creepy. I think snow that doesn't melt is creepy.
Okay, so my friend tried doing this, and I've seen a couple videos of people trying to do this. The snow that we got here in Wisconsin recently, I guess, doesn't melt. So they have tried to melt it, and it just turns black. Okay, I don't know what snow they have, but mine melts. I mean, I guess it doesn't really melt. It more or less just is disintegrating, weirdly. That's weird. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, so we'll try this again. And it's not melting like water would melt or snow would melt. It's melting as if you're burning plastic, and it turns black. It's really strange. Like, look at that. Literally turning black. Weird. Okay, so my friend...
Definitely pretty weird with that. Definitely weird. You know what I mean? Like, it does look like it's melting like plastic. It does give off that type of a vibe when you're melting it. But listen, I don't doubt that there's some type of chemical in the snow, in the rain, any type of weather because of chemtrails, like the first person said in the first video. So yeah, you could be burning off some type of chemicals that's in there. I don't know. You definitely want to be cautious though.
Last night, when signing the executive orders declaring the cartels foreign terrorist organizations, the president was asked about boots on the ground. Take a listen.
President Trump, if the cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations, would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations.
Listen, man, I ain't trying to tell y'all what to do with your lives or nothing like that, but I'll hold off on any type of trips over there, any type of vacations you may have planned. Might kind of, you know what I mean, push them back a little while and just see what happens for a little bit, see how this thing kind of plays out, all right?
Foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right.
All right, Jonathan, when he says stranger things have happened, what does it look like, assuming the president declares war, and he has a lot of powers to do that, with Congress, depending on how it works, of targeted drone strikes on cartel leaders, Navy SEAL raids, Delta Force, whatever it is, raids on drug lab production facilities, fentanyl trafficking organizations?
Well, first of all, Leland, he doesn't have to declare war because these individuals are on a terrorist list now. The United States is technically in a offensive as well as defensive position now, and they can bring all of the assets the United States has to bear, which includes intel, military, and also the white collar aspect of this, because people have to realize these cartels are businesses. If they're not making money, they're not going to exist. And
remember, they showed a chart, and they were right up there with the likes of, I think it was Walmart and other businesses like that. Like, seriously.
So now the United States can look at them the same way they look at Iran, for instance, and go after their financials. Although the difference here is that primarily cartels are a cash business, but they can start to go after them and the nations in which they're in and put pressure on them and start working this systematically. When I was in Colombia, we led training missions, and we were not allowed to go in there as a military operation because it was a law enforcement
operation. I get that, Jonathan. My question, though, is how difficult really is it? I mean, when we think about these cartels, and they are gangs, in many cases, they have armies that are better equipped than, say, the Mexican military. But it wouldn't really take that much, would it, if the order was given to go down to Mexico and start knocking some heads, a few drone strikes, a couple raids, and the cartels might have a problem recruiting people all of a sudden, wouldn't they?
Well, it could be. But see, the cartels are involved in the intimidation process of a lot of these states, the neighborhoods, the people that work down there. So when you look at the people who work for the cartel, there's a difference between those individuals, the soldiers for the cartel, and the leaders, the actual business leaders of the cartel. So they're going to define all these things. If they just went down there and tried to start knocking heads, you're going to get into a quagmire because you just push them into the shadows. And so we have to look at this systematically, which I believe Trump will do. And as far as the border goes and the immigrants, you can see that the border, every drug case that I was ever a part of in the FBI went back either to the Canadian border or to the southern border, but they always involved cartels or drug organization, criminal enterprises outside of the United States.
Excuse me for interrupting you. President Trump just talked about this a few minutes ago. Take a listen.
Canada, very much so. They've allowed millions and millions of people to come into our country that shouldn't be here. They could have stopped them, and they didn't. And they've killed 300,000 people last year, my opinion, have been destroyed by drugs, by fentanyl. The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive. The fentanyl coming through Mexico is massive. And people are getting killed, and families are being destroyed.
If President Trump, and it seems to be in the process of, quote unquote, sealing the southern border, how much of a crimp does that put on the cartels that may make going after their drug trade easier?
It makes a tremendous impact, or it is a tremendous impact on their ability to move their product, if we look at this as a business, into the...
They gotta locate them tunnels too. They ain't just bringing it actively through the border. They going up under too.
United States, which is their biggest buyer. And so blocking the border, putting a wall there on the southern border means that you are causing their main delivery avenue a disruption. So that is exactly what we need to start doing, is looking at these individual ways. But I have to point this out, Leland. This is not... Now, because they've designated these individuals as terrorists, it's not just a law enforcement issue. It's now a national security issue. And so that puts all the assets at play, which is way different than the cartel issue in Colombia before this issue arose.
You think about it just in terms of terrorism, it's about time, right? You at some point with fentanyl deaths, you're having a 9/11 every 11 days.